10 after 8, news and views on Salam Media. Welcome back. Assalamu alaikum to you. My first guest is you, Dr. Trevot Ngwane. You are obviously, you're a doctor of sociology. You're also an anti-apartheid activist and an academic. It gives me great pleasure to talk with you this morning. We're going to be looking at the legacy of the ANC's 112 years in existence. This, of course, leading up to the 2024 national general elections. A very good morning to you. Welcome to the program.
Good morning, Julie, and your viewers and listeners, and happy birthday to Salam Media. 9 years, that's a great achievement. And I just want to share also my sympathy, solidarity with our brothers and sisters in Palestine who are facing a real, terrible genocidal attack from the Zionists.
Thank you indeed, Dr. Trevot Ngwane. And let me return the compliment by saying a very happy birthday to the ANC's 112 years in existence. How significant is this milestone, 112 years, very especially leading up to the 2024 elections?
Yeah, I don't know. I can't think of a saying, but there's something about, although we all want to live long, but sometimes people overstay their welcome. So the ANC has done well. I mean, it's one of the oldest political parties in the world, more than 100 years old. It has a checkered history. It started off as an elitist group of educated African men and chiefs. It had its turn to the masses in the 40s, and then in 1994, it took power. So during that time, it has had its high points and low points, like anyone, like any organization. But I think at the moment, it is at its lowest ebb.
Absolutely. When we talk about its lowest ebb, we can, of course, go back to the very dark days of apartheid. We do know at that time the ANC served as a vanguard of resistance, with its members courageously challenging the oppressive regime. And of course, we can't discount the sacrifices made by activists and leaders. It wasn't in vain, almost 30 years into our democracy, and we are grateful for that. Undoubtedly, the ANC has played a pivotal role in dismantling the discriminating structures that plagued our society. And that's the reason why we are able to identify with the Palestinian situation absolutely and wholeheartedly. But the ANC's had very many failures in their 30 years in office. How is it going to hurt them in the upcoming elections?
Yes. So, as I said, when it was born, it was an organization of the black elite, because those people, they thought that as the first educated black people, as, tribal chiefs, whatnot, they were better than the rest of the population. So basically, they were fighting for special treatment by the colonial powers, including even going to the Queen of England, asking for special privileges. However, over time, good for them, they then embraced the struggles of the masses. But now, after 30 years being in power, governing South Africa, they have failed to significantly change the lives of the people. Because at the moment, South Africa is one of the most unequal societies in the world. Unemployment is at between 30 and 40%, a lot of poverty. So people are feeling really disappointed. Ordinary people are disappointed. They are deprived, they are demoralized. And this will have a spillover into the elections this year in 2024. I think the ANC leaders are actually panicking. They are caught up in election anxieties because they know they are likely to lose their majority in parliament.
How do you view coalitions? Because we're hearing talks about a lot of smaller parties and possibly even the DA um, going to, they've had supposedly secret coalition talks with the ANC. Is that a possibility? Do you think that that is at all workable?
Yeah, coalitions is what will have to work because if the ANC does not get its 50% plus one majority, someone must govern the country. And we've seen this happening at local level in the municipalities. Of course, our experience of local coalitions has been disastrous, with a lot of upheaval, chopping and changing, uh, political trade-offs and deals which did not prioritize the needs of the people, of the masses. So I think that, when you have coalitions at national level, we're in for a rough ride, but we'll have to see it through because someone has to govern the country. I think later I'll talk about maybe a bigger alternative beyond parliament as we know it. But certainly we are moving towards coalition government.
Okay, I want to talk about one or two of the other popular parties. We will go for an ad break, but I pose the question regarding a coalition, ANC in a coalition with the DA. I want you to mull on that and respond to me when we come back from the ad break. I'm kind of wondering, would that be a possibility in light of the fact that the DA is viewed as a white elitist party? They've had great successes in the Western Cape, but we also know the situation in the Western Cape. You've got the richest of the rich and the poorest of the poor, and the services are the most unequal in the world between those two groups. But we look at all of that right after the ad break, and then also how cadre deployment has hurt the ANC and corrupted the ANC to the point where it's sitting at right now. So please stay with us. Let's pay the rent. We'll be back with you in a minute or two.
This is Salam Media.
Conveniently located along the banks of the Crocodile River bordering the Kruger National Park, as a guest at Buckler's Africa Lodge, one can enjoy an amazing sunrise or sunset on our spacious deck area while you catch a glimpse of some wildlife sightings along the Crocodile River. The sounds of the African savanna will greet you whilst you enjoy your morning coffee. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Buckler's Africa Lodge is ideally situated only 6 kilometers from the Crocodile Bridge Gate in the Kruger National Park. Catering for all travelers with variety, we have 4 types of the finest rooms: superior rooms, deluxe suites, and 2-bedroomed family units. Each room is equipped with the finest amenities to make your stay unforgettable. Guests can choose between the self-catering option or book their accommodation with breakfast and dinner included. Buckler's Africa Lodge is your ideal location for the ultimate Kruger getaway experience. We specialize in exhilarating and educational game drives in Kruger, tailor-made to suit your family. Inquire about our various accommodation offerings and other activities. Visit www.tingana.co.za for more information. Buckler's Africa Lodge by Tingana Collection. Experience the pulse of Africa with us.
There's no smell that takes me back to the comfort of my childhood than the smell of black seed oil being applied by my nanny. Now I'm using Tib Black Seed in my own home to soothe sniffles and coughs, to help with digestion and immunity, and of course, as part of my beauty routine. After all these years, I've come to appreciate the wisdom in finding comfort and shifa in trusted treatments like Tib Black Seed. You can find Tib Black Seed at all leading pharmacies or find out more at blackseed.co.za.
Sponsor an orphan, and you'll help support a vulnerable child to have the education they've always dreamed of, so they can build a brighter future. You'll be feeding a hungry stomach and a hungry mind with knowledge that will last them a lifetime. That's the power of an education. Sponsor an orphan now with Islamic Relief.
When the perfect blend of stylish decor, exquisite halal cuisine, and warm hospitality come together, it could only mean Al Bayt Lodge, your true home away from home. Al Bayt is the ideal heaven for families, business people, and tourists with its 4-star family rooms and other luxurious facilities. Conveniently situated close to Port Elizabeth Airport, the beach, and other amenities, your stay will be truly unforgettable, as you'll be taking home lasting memories of the warm hospitality, the serenity and tranquility that Al Bayt has to offer. For reservations, call 041 583 6415 or visit www.albaytlodge.co.za.
Ah, the kitchen, the heart of the home, where memories are made and celebrated. Our go-to place for those freshly stacked pancakes early in the morning or for that late-night snack munchies. We are in there together, cooking, eating, and celebrating life together. Let's keep the kitchen a place that is shared by everyone, where we build stronger bonds and grow together. Sunfoil, Now We Cooking. Visit nowwecooking.co.za for recipes that everyone can help make.
Rejuvenating media day by day. This is Salam Media.
Welcome back. It is exactly 22 after 8 o'clock. My first guest is Dr. Trevot Ngwane. He's an anti-apartheid activist, an academic, and also doctor of sociology. We're talking about the ANC, the way forward in this election year here in South Africa. Welcome back, Dr. Ngwane. Would you like to respond to my questions? It was obviously the white elitist party, which of course is the DA. Can you see a marriage between them and the ANC in a coalition? And then also, how much has cadre deployment hurt the ANC to the point where they were unable to deliver?
Yes. Okay. A marriage of the ANC and the Democratic Alliance would be a disaster, but it would confirm what is essentially at the heart of the ANC's problems, the ANC's crisis. When the ANC was fighting against apartheid with some leaders in exile, some in guerrilla camps in Angola, all over Africa, others in Robben Island, Nelson Mandela and others, they made an alliance with the Communist Party of South Africa, which is now the SACP. And their vision was of a different political and economic system in South Africa. At that time, they were working with socialism. Remember that a lot of our struggle, especially the guerrillas, the guns, the armed struggle, were supported by the Soviet Union. Of course, we were also supported by Scandinavian countries. So there was what I can call a view of an anti-capitalist future, that is a future beyond capitalism. Of course, some within the ANC were thinking within capitalism, but a different kind of capitalism which prioritized the needs of ordinary people. At the heart of all this was the fact that South Africa was a colonial country state ruled by a group of people who came, on boats, on ships, and took over the land. And with that came racism, So we had what I can call racial capitalism. So wherever the ANC was fighting for freedom, that issue of coming up with a different economic system beyond racial capitalism was at the heart of the struggle. Unfortunately, when the ANC took power, it agreed with Oppenheimer, with Gavin Reilly, with the F.W. de Klerk that it would embrace capitalism. So that is where the ANC is stuck, because it has inherited and is promoting a system which it has been fighting against for the past 100 years. Can you see? And the system actually, is characterized by racism, gender oppression, tribalism, looking down upon people, all sorts of, social evils. So this is the problem with the ANC. So if it were to have a marriage with the DA, it would just be proving that it's not prepared to shake off that legacy, of racial capitalism. It is going to that Western Cape, which everyone knows prioritizes the needs and interests of big capital and of white people.
Going forward, then, I'm kind of wondering what's going to change. What's going to change the mindset of the already corrupt politicians within the ANC? Let's not forget, we can't only finger the ANC. There seems to be corrupt practices, even within the DA and other smaller parties. What do you believe needs to happen to change the narrative here? A lot of young people are also looking at joining political parties, becoming councillors, etc., because they view it as a very lucrative industry to be in. It's where the money is made. Your views on that?
Yes. So during the negotiations, Chris Hani, who was at that time the most popular leader among the youth, among comrades in South Africa, he said to Nelson Mandela and the ANC, comrades, do you want to embrace the hyena being capitalism, the hyena being white monopoly capitalism? And he said, if you embrace the hyena will chop off your arm. So basically, he was warning that, the path the ANC was leading would end up making the ANC lose its way, lose its path. We're all in the ANC. My father was in the ANC. My grandfather was in the ANC, and my, on the maternal side. So, but I know ANC, especially the leaders, they changed. They embraced capitalism. They embraced the ideology of individualism, of self-enrichment, to an extent that now it is hard to see the ANC being redeemed or redeeming itself. We can see now there's confusion. Their former president Zuma is forming his own party, etc., etc. That is why, Julie, I want to talk about a future beyond the ANC and beyond the system of racial capitalism. We really need fundamental change so that we shake off that legacy of colonialism, of racism, and build a truly new South Africa.
Do you, as a sociologist, truly believe that we can change the trajectory here in South Africa, that we can embrace possibly a a social structure where we don't follow the route of capitalism? How beneficial is that going to be for South Africa? And then in terms of foreign investment, is it going to chase away foreign investment? That's the one part of my question. You've also spoken about Jacob Zuma. Has he not reached his sell-by date? However, we're also hearing mutterings from his son, Duduzane, who is talking about, not once, he's come out in public suggesting that he's got his eye on the presidency. Is that a possibility at all? So we're talking Jacob Zuma forming his own party, his son aspiring to becoming a South African president, whether it's in the immediate future or the distant future, we're not sure. And last but not least, the EFF and their role, they seem to be attracting the very radical youth, very especially the unemployed youth who become radical because they're so despondent. Your views on all of that?
Well, for the majority of the people in South Africa, which is at the moment 60%, they are living in poverty. I think we saw clearly, with the attack on the malls in July 2021, when people suddenly went to the shops, the malls, and wrecked everything. There is a lot of frustration and anger, deprivation, desperation among the people. 60% of ordinary people are living below or on the poverty datum line. Actually, the plan of the black bourgeoisie, of the white capital in South Africa, was always to co-opt, the black elite, to have a so-called black middle class and a black bourgeoisie who would act as a buffer between the masses of suffering black people and the rich white colonizers. This is what has happened now. So really, there is no future for South Africa if we stay within the ambit of racial capitalism. I mean, just one thing, Julie, and your listeners and viewers, you know that there is a 20% rate of stunted growth for children. This means children who grow up with brains and bodies which are underdeveloped. So those people, their future is doomed in the womb. So we just cannot entertain that. There is a high rate of gender-based violence, femicide, rape, molesting of children. This is the South Africa we live in. And if we continue this way, thinking about foreign investment, thinking about what the United States Treasury will say to us, think about the World Bank, they will be happy with what we're doing, but our people will be dead. Our people will be suffering. That is why I'm really pushing for a search for alternative systems. Of course, change is pain, but everything must change. So to speak about Jacob Zuma, his son, indeed, even to speak about Ramaphosa and the present ANC is just to be stuck within that hell of a suffering people, a society rigged by crime, a society rigged by gender-based violence, a society where the children at school cannot read, etc., etc. We have to change. We have to change.
Okay, finally, I do have my next guest on standby. I do need to talk with you in the near future again, so much more to unpack. Do you truly believe that a socialist system, if introduced in South Africa, would be workable?
I think it would be workable, especially if we embrace our Africanness, our geography. We have to embrace countries like Zimbabwe, Mozambique, Botswana, Namibia, and actually go back to that vision of Kwame Nkrumah, of Pan-Africanism, where we collectivize our resources, our strengths, and try and build, a country, a society, a continent, a region which serves the people and does not serve our old colonial masters.
We have a long way to get there, a long way, painful change, and we need everyone in Africa to be on board. My final question, which you haven't responded to, just short and sharp if you don't mind, your thoughts on Julius Malema and the EFF party?
Julius Malema, the EFF is Julius Malema's ANC. So just as Zuma is a product of the ANC, Malema is the product of the ANC, Likota in Cope is a product of the ANC. So these people, they have to learn to shake off the bad political habits they learned in the ANC. I think maybe Malema is trying hard, but I think that he has a long way to go before he can inspire confidence from the masses of the people.
Dr. Trevot Ngwane, I have no doubt in my mind we're going to be having lots and lots more chats on the show leading up to the upcoming 2024 elections. Thank you indeed for your time and your insights. God bless.
Thank you.
It is exactly 8:34. News and views on Salam Media. Standing by to talk with us is Abed Karim. He is from the Al Imdad Foundation, and we're going to be looking at the impact of the recent floods in Ladysmith.
At Centio, our investful